Come
Yeah,
on,
because
Teddy.
we'll have to talk about Teddy at some point. So yeah, this is the final product. To be able to see the result of it and knowing that everything happens here is super interesting.
Whatever walk of life that you come from, if you get to see a person's life change in front of you and you see that, it's not something that's just scripted, it's in the moment and it will change your life.
It's possible to even build a leg this size. So this is actually incredible.
To find it, imagine in a third world country or an impoverished country of Africa or in a war zone in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Children are last on the list because of the cost and the number of prosthetics that they would need. And Hope to Walk can really be a solution to that problem for children.
Welcome to the Hope and Motion podcast, a space where we talk about impact, purpose, and the journey of building something bigger than ourselves. I'm Max, a videographer, a storyteller, and part of the team of Hope to Walk, a nonprofit bringing life-changing prosthetic legs to people who could never afford them. Most of these conversations will be with my mentor and the founder of Hope to Walk, Phil Johnson, a man whose vision and heart have inspired me in ways I can't wait to share with you. Together, we'll dive into the stories, the struggles, and the incredible moments of hope that come from serving others. Because we believe everyone has the power to make a difference. And maybe this podcast will help you find yours. Let's get started.
Okay,
We're back.
we're back.
So, episode 3. We're back in the US. We are right here in Virginia and Blacksburg. This is where the manufacturing happens for Hope to Walk.
Yep.
So, can you just walk us through what happened in the past 2 weeks here?
Well, it's short of a miracle. We came in about 2 weeks ago and we had delivered a bunch of kind of rough blocks of wood. Found a couple of woodworkers who took those pieces of wood home with them, cut them into the blocks that we
You have them
use.
here, right here.
Yeah, I'll show you here. These wood blocks are the beginning of the heel. In order to build feet, we have to have all the components. And so the part we were lacking is the wooden heel block and the time that it takes here to plane the board, cut the board, drill the board. So these gentlemen stepped up and took them home to their wood shops and within a couple of days brought us back 200 heel blocks. And so that was a huge blessing. So then from there, we had volunteers from Virginia Tech and a person here who's kind of directing that, put together a group coming in 2 different days, and we were able to glue together the other pieces that make up the foot.
Yeah, which
We have
is
some-
to this point.
So there's the heel block, starts like this, and then we've now glued it to this piece of material. And from there, a bottom's put on, and then this literally becomes the foot for Hope to Walk's leg.
Yeah.
And one of the bottlenecks is the production of the foot. Some of the stuff is very specialized, like making this heel block. And so we had a bunch of people step up. We had 220, I think, heel blocks and front ends made, and now we have put together 220
About
feet.
220 feet.
220 feet. That in itself is a miracle. It's amazing because every time I see one of these, I see the person that potentially is going to be walking with it.
Yeah.
You know, you and I get the opportunity to see people in their environment, that, you know, the loss of a leg, they never thought they'd get a leg.
Yeah.
And then we build this leg and we build these parts that starts out with this wood block built in Blacksburg, Virginia, and a bunch of volunteers coming together to drill holes and glue material together. And, you know, it turns into, over here, come
Yeah,
on,
because
Teddy.
we'll have to talk about Teddy at some point.
You know, this is the leg. It turns into this. So this block becomes that becomes that becomes the leg.
So let's show it where it is focused. So yeah, this is the final product. To be able to see the result of it and knowing that everything happens here is super interesting. And you talked about a bunch of volunteers that are involved. And it has been like that for a while. So how has this been working with the volunteers?
It's been working really well. Like with the production of anything, there are skilled jobs, and then there are, I won't call them non-skilled jobs, but jobs that are very easily taught. And so gluing material together, gluing these pieces of material, naturally using a table saw and a bandsaw and a drill press and all of that is a little more advanced as far as, putting a piece of material together or building something like this.
Yeah.
Then we have the material, which is an important part, being glued together because the foot naturally will come apart if that's not done properly. And so we have volunteers that come in, college students, people that are retired, and we'll teach them the job that fits them the best.
Yeah.
If naturally you've never used a wood saw, naturally we're not going to put you in a place where you're going to be building wood blocks.
Yeah.
But we can have people come in and volunteers, and so we've had waves of volunteers who have become very interested in Hope to Walk.
Yeah.
Interested in a way of they want to plan a trip to come and see how the leg is fit and watch the process.
Yeah.
And this is the kind of thing that we need and want, because that's how we keep Hope to Walk going.
Yeah.
Through strong volunteer base, through being able to manufacture our own parts efficiently and economically and effective,
Yeah.
and then being able to get them to third world countries and build legs and put them on poor people.
Yeah, and I feel that it has had a big impact to actually bring them, because last year was the first time that the students came to Guatemala, and they came back here and they've been on it, doing fundraisings, organizing 5Ks and everything, and now they're getting ready to come back.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be other groups, and this is cool because in Virginia Tech they created a group to support Hope to Walk and raise awareness. So that's a beautiful way of participating and being able to get involved too.
And it's funny, like what you just said, you see the transformation of a person. I don't care if you're a college student, I don't care if you're retired, whatever walk of life that you come from. If you get to see a person's life change in front of you, where that person comes in thinking that they were not going to be able to walk again, ever again, stand up on their own, and walk into our facility and they end up with this, and they walk out of our facility, and you see that, it's not something that's just scripted, it's in the moment, and it will change your life. We see these groups come and these students come, and they come back with a passion because they've seen the reality of poverty. They've seen the hearts and love of human beings, and then giving back to that will change your life.
Now we've started talking lately about how Hope to Walk could be a solution for young amputees. So let's talk more about this, but just to show you, it's possible to even build a leg this size, and we even did one twice as small as this one. So this is actually incredible, scalable to any size. Let's talk about this a little bit.
So one thing that I have heard in 10 years of being out in the world is children and prosthetics. If you look up even in our books of supplies that we can purchase, everything's for an adult. Because children, let's say you're, a year old, you're going to have 2 legs a year, 3 legs a year, depending on your growth. Some children in impoverished countries don't grow very fast, so it depends really. But it's hard to fund that because of the cost of prosthetics.
Yeah.
And so Hope to Walk can build that leg over and over and over again for less than probably a tenth of what a commercial prosthetic leg would cost. We could put 10 legs on. And so, one, we're going to start a project of supporting a child. You being the person that decides to take this child's life and help them walk. And through Teddy, he's traveled with us a little bit. I thought one day about, I want him to look like the kids who think that their lives are changed and probably have seen a teddy bear but never one with a prosthetic leg. And so in that, thinking about kids and thinking about what's going on in the world, even in the United States, that's an issue. Buying the feet and the componentry, it doesn't, there's like one, maybe two companies that even produce that. And to find it, imagine in a third world country or an impoverished country of Africa or in a war zone in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Children are last on the list because of the cost and the number of prosthetics that they would need. And Hope to Walk can really be a solution to that problem for children. We can provide legs to kids that would normally not get them just because of the funding part of it. And that's what we do best. And so I want to put that out there for people to understand. Probably everyone has seen an adult missing a leg. You know, you see people nowadays have real cool legs and they look robotic and they want to, used to people wanted to cover them up.
Yeah.
Now they want to show them off, and explain that, this was $50,000, and people around the world will never walk because they don't have any money.
Yeah.
And so I want to be able to focus too on putting out that children don't have to go without prosthetics.
Yeah.
Because there is a solution.
And we have like many kids, like we had said in the past, and you have probably seen in the past videos. We have several kids that we have served in Guatemala, and this can be continued on a regular basis. Okay, so this week also, something interesting happening here is that there are 2 TV channels that wants to interview Hope to Walk in general. This kind of exposure, why is it good for us? What do you
It's just that, it's the exposure. I'm sure there's people out there today that don't even know what Hope to Walk is or ever even heard of the prosthetic need in the world.
Yeah.
And so every platform that can get our message out is a very important thing. Kind of what you and I are doing are bringing the reality of people's lives and how this changes them. These are the stories. The other side of it is a bigger thing.
Yeah.
And so, again, bringing awareness. If 100 people tune in on what we're doing and they didn't know, they can tell people and they can tell people, and eventually the word's out about the need in the world. You even hear about Ukraine, and you see the war, and you see how terrible that war is to begin with, but the tragedy of innocent people. Well, from the research that I've been doing, it looks like the amputee level is about 50% of the children have been amputated due to the war, and we're talking numbers that exceed 50 to 100,000 people.
Yeah.
And so when you bring the reality to that, and there is no solution in place. And so, I want to be a part of that. I want Hope to Walk to be a part of that. I want the world to be a part of that, but doing it in a way that we know that it's done right.
Yeah. And the situation right now wouldn't allow us to even go in the moment, but there still can be a very strategic plan around this.
Yeah, we're working on some ideas. I think, going to areas like Ukraine, naturally there's a danger. You don't know what the environment is. So we're working on a project right now of shipping containers with clinics built in them. And we're trying to put together one where possibly we could, here in the U.S., Blacksburg, put together a clinic and then ship it to Guatemala, set it up, and prove that portion of the container clinic, and then possibly reach out to existing prosthetists in possibly Ukraine or even Poland who would be interested in coming and spending time building legs, learning the process, building children's legs, And then, we can work on funding to ship a container or 2 or 10 back to the Ukraine and have people train there to be able to continue to build legs in their own environment, knowing the environment that they're in.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, is an important thing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, so now we're getting ready to go back to Guatemala,
Yeah.
which we call our home now. But it's really cool to know, like in the past 2 weeks here, to see that our production can increase significantly if ever the need is there, and the need is there. But now it's in search of more funding to be able to respond to bigger needs.
Right.
But this is actually great to know, to see how many people are involved and Hope to Walk and that are based in the U.S. on a volunteer basis. So yeah.
I had a very important guy, I say is important to myself, say to me one time, he asked about Hope to Walk, and he says, what do you want Hope to Walk to be? What is, if you had to say one thing about Hope to Walk, what do you want it to be? And I want it to be the best in the way that you can look at the foundation of this organization and see that donations and funding that goes to this organization goes to people getting legs around the world.
That's amazing, and that's what we're here for, man. To stay transparent along the way and make the biggest
No doubt.
impact.
Very
So
much.
well,
Thank you.
that's the episode 3.
Yeah. Thank you for
See
listening.
you guys back
Peace.
in Guatemala. All right, bro. Thank you.
Cool.